So the exclamation mark is used for the the writer to be able to convey that certain sentence or that certain statement is intended to have a high level of excitement and emotion. Okay, so let's go back to the table I have earlier. So if you would see assertion or declarative, the first column, and then we have here the question or interrogative. It's informative, but in a way it's interrogative. If you could see the example. Oh, I'm sorry. There you go. Let's just enlarge the font, and let's just scroll down so that everybody could see it. There you go. Let's see. You can see here it's an interrogative below the informative function, but isn't this room 222A? So it's in a way it's informative because the one saying it is somehow giving an information and is somehow questioning it. So this usually happen when you are in doubt. So you're saying a thing, but in the same way questioning your statement. So expressive, isn't that great? So it's a question, at the same time it's expressive. Directive, don't you want to help me? So it's a question, it's at the same time a directive language. So okay, I believe that would be let's not take much time on that part of the discussion, as I would be discussing a lot more today. So I think that's it for the types of sentence. Of course, we actually have different types of sentence according to you see here, according to use, according to function. There are different types of sentence according to its structure. We have the compound sentence, the complex sentence. Those are different types of sentence. So that's according to its structure. We won't tackle on that much because that won't be much necessary, but I think you already tackled that with your different subjects. And of course, as I've said, I have this implied notion that all of you know this because it's discussed in other subjects. I'm just doing this for a review, for purposes of review, of course, for our subject. Exclamatory, okay. There you go. So now, go on with the common errors to avoid, of course. Common errors to avoid, of course, I'm pertaining to grammar. Actually, there's a lot of common errors, but I've only included, I believe, several of it here, which would be the most common or the most important that we should know, so that we could adjust our way of writing. There you go. So the first common error is avoid the lack of subject and verb agreement. Of course, ever since high school, we've been discussing. Your English teacher have been discussing about of course, the subject and verb agreement. Of course, it's very hard to memorize the rules of subject and verb, the subject and verb agreement. But a tip is actually there's no need to memorize those rules of subject and verb agreement. All you need, I think, it's the best way of learning those subject verb agreement is reading. Of course, reading English magazines, or shall we say, even the newspaper. Another thing is watching TV shows in English, of course. If I may suggest, if you would like to watch English shows, don't watch. Of course, I'm not against those shows, but for the purposes of learning good English, it's better to watch English, shall we say, Eastern news, shall we say, CNN, yes, BBC. And of course, if you are into watching movies, not against these types of movies. If you watch, movies of, shall we say, Will Smith, movies of Wesley Snipes, movies of Chris Tucker. Okay, to be, I'm sure nobody is, with no offense intended, of course. Colored people are, black people in America usually speak in a very slang way, or they speak in a way that it's not, no longer within the rules of subject and verb agreement. So if I may suggest, including the accent, proper, or shall we say standard accent of English usually are those within the eastern coast, eastern side of the U.S. Eastern states such as New York, Orlando, shall we say Orlando, Miami, New York, or those on the eastern coast. Those are usually the standard English. As we the west side. I work in a call center. We are specifically advised to follow or watch eastern, shall we say, movies from or news programs from the eastern part of the country. CNN, BBC, those are good. You could take good grammar from those news stations. And yes, so that the best way of learning English is through reading it and speaking it and listening through it. Okay, so going on. Do not mix singular nouns with plural verbs and vice versa. Of course, the basic rule is if the subject is singular, then the verb should be singular, and vice versa. If the noun is plural, and then of course automatically the verb should be in plural form. For example, there you go. The first one would be James were